Before we can get to the leak of TurtleWoW and the cover-ups and everything that's happening now, we have to understand the history and the background of TurtleWoW. So let's start with who Torta is. Shinna was a retired staff member on the Elysium project. It's believed to be that, in fact, they are the exact same, and there have been multiple Reddit posts and different posts all across the MMO scene talking about who Shinna could possibly be. Is it, in fact, Torta? However, then one of the most important questions is raised: who is Shinna, and why is she so hated in the emulation scene? Well, if we go back to an old post 8 years ago, we can see that on the Elysium forums, Shinna resigns. Here we can see people freaking out over on the Reddit page saying, "Good riddance, who cares, Shinna is a big noob, I don't see a point in this, it's too late, isn't a meaningful gesture anymore," so on and so forth. There were rumors that she was in fact selling gold to players amongst many other issues. Therefore, when she was removed from the scene, or supposedly resigned, the entire emulation scene rejoiced, and they thought, well, now she's going to be gone. There were some who actually enjoyed her presence, but for the vast majority, everyone did not like her at all. What I'm going to read to you now is the history of TurtleWoW and how it actually started and how it came to be, specifically from the hacker himself who decided to attack TurtleWoW and leak all the documents, because I felt it would be much better to come out of the mouth, or rather the words, and not per se the mouth, of someone who actually understands to a T what the history of TurtleWoW actually is. Nestaris was one of the last true passion projects in the private server scene, ultimately ended by a cease and desist letter from Blizzard around 2015. This server was massive and played by everyone. They never took donations, never had any major drama, and had insanely good quality for the time. After their shutdown, they gave their core and database to Elysium. This was a massive deal at the time since everyone was dying to play their beloved Nestaris again. Elysium was a small vanilla server running for profit at the time and was run by Shinna, aka Torta. They went non-profit and agreed to host it. From there on, it was daily drama and shady actions from Shinna, Torta, and Krog, Browser, trying to cash in. A couple of years later, Shinna, aka now Torta, and Krog, Bowser, were caught spawning gold and selling it. The entire core and database were taken and spun off to a new project called Light's Hope, which removed Shinna and Krog. From then on, it was considered one of the best experiences and ran full progression with minimal drama until Blizzard announced Classic, at which point they shut down. Fast forward a few years later, another project called Hygel spawns due to the poor experience Blizzard delivered with Classic. It was run by the same admins as Light's Hope. After some time, this admin got burnt out and decided to pass the reins to his new lead developer, Nolan. This project, which was a 1x non-profit plain vanilla server, eventually had its database sold off to TurtleWoW. Although Hygel was a dying server at that point, TurtleWoW at that time was an extremely small server, averaging fewer than 50 players. They inherited the Hygel developers and likely most staff, and from there, they went to a full for-profit server and mainly backported old assets from newer expansions. This wasn't the first server to merge with them either, many others have. Something similar happened with Vanilla Plus, one of the original Vanilla Plus servers, leading to confusion and anger. Cash Shop suddenly appeared, and an anonymous admin emerged. Turtle really acted like a private server mob boss, consuming as many projects as they could buy out or obtain to convert to for profit. Now, of course, TurtleWoW had to deny these claims. There was a post on MMORPG forums where a man going by the username of Keterad decided to showcase that it is in fact Elysium on the forums, that in fact TurtleWoW was connected somehow to all these different servers. However, a representative for TurtleWoW team came to address these accusations named Achilles Frost, saying, "Hi, I'm here on behalf of TurtleWoW team to address a few of these accusations. For the record, this username only had one post ever, that being this post last year in 2023. At the very bottom of the conclusion, it says, "If there is some sort of private server mafia, we are blissfully unaware of its existence. Yes, there are friendships and connections between people involved on various projects. However, this stems from a shared interest and passion for World of Warcraft emulation, not a desire for a monopolistic hold over private servers based on open source software. What becomes furthermore interesting is that there was also another post made a couple years backwards that goes into heavy detail explaining the connections between the servers, which I showcased to you previously, where Elysium is quite literally in the HTML of TurtleWoW's website, where the own shop itself is very identical. It goes even further into it on having conversations with White Kidney and such, but fear not, we're gonna get a little bit heavier into this when we go over the leak itself. For now, it does seem, in fact, that there is some sort of monopoly going on, and it's not uncommon, actually, for these things to happen within the private server scene. For example, White Kidney, which you see is constantly brought up, owns Whitemane. Whitemane has taken out servers such as Deuce. They are more so trying to take out the Cataclysm projects. Whereas, for example, on the other side of the fence, you have Ascension, who is trying to take out the custom side of the project. Ascension, for example, has consumed projects such as Conquerors of Azeroth, Vendetta, and then the latest, World of RuneScape. So it's not uncommon for private servers to try and take out everyone around them and try and consume them, let alone actually be them. Approximately 2 to 3 months back, what ended up happening is TurtleWoW released what's known as TurtleWoW 2.0, where they showcased everything new that was coming to TurtleWoW, that being that they were moving to Unreal Engine. This was huge. You had people from the likes of Asmongold and Sfan commenting on it, even smaller YouTubers just being like, oh my god, it's happening, Unreal Engine with World of Warcraft, it's finally what the players have been telling Blizzard to do all these years. Like, what the hell? Why hasn't Blizzard done this? Now, oh my god, the player base is suddenly doing this and you can't even do it, Blizzard. Like, come on, look at these guys. If they can do it, you can do it. And this became extremely problematic for both Blizzard and for TurtleWoW. However, truth be told, TurtleWoW actually wanted this because what was happening is they were creating false publicity. And I'm going to get into the details now as a experienced Unreal Engine designer who has for many years used the tool, obviously, and has worked with many wonderful people. So I'm going to pull up my notes here briefly, and we're gonna just knock it down further and further and further down. TurtleWoW 2.0 video is extremely misleading, but it was intended. Within the video, they, for example, showcased how you can have the old graphics or the new graphics. This is untrue. At roughly 0:55 in the video, they show a difference between two of the zones. And now keep in mind, I understand that rendering can happen, however, we're talking about modders in this case. We're not talking about people who per se know what the hell they're doing with engines. Roughly 0:55 in the video, they show difference between two of the zones. One of the easiest ways to spot that is the right side in the standard WoW client is a rendering. Mountains to be exact. You can almost certainly see that Unreal is on the left and that WoW client is on the right. You may now be asking yourself, so what? The reason this is important, because they're claiming you can have the original graphics. However, this is far from the truth. What TurtleWoW is doing is simply going in and making a client version of World of Warcraft. That means the entire backend of WoW is untouched, but the client changes, aka the WoW exe file, is what's being modified. This is not WoW 2.0, this is a client 2.0. This means that they're still using the very same engine on the background. This is the exact same thing World of Warcraft is doing in terms of upgrading their client to make things render or look better. Because they are doing this, they are then replacing how all the rendering works on the client side, causing them to either fully mimicking exact visual or create entirely new visuals. Mimicking, however, is next to impossible, I would argue, specifically because each engine has their own unique look. When you look at a fantasy game and compare it to Unity and Unreal Engine, a keen eye can almost spot the difference immediately unless a AAA team spent countless hours into it. I can imagine now the difference between an engine designed to be for Warcraft 3 now being mimicked on Unreal Engine 5. This leads to being nearly absolutely impossible to reproduce, as they are trying to say. But you might say, so why not follow using the original client then for the graphics? The answer is simple. At 140, you see the answer in the video. Their new anti-cheat system. Vanilla, TBC, and Wrath clients are littered with exploits. However, the UE with UE5, that changes things a bit. What doesn't change, however, is the fact that if you are trying to give your players that original look, you cannot have them use the old client and have the old anti-cheat at the same time. The other issue in regards to this new TurtleWoW 2.0 is what they can put in your EXE. In Unreal Engine, you can pretty much just relax and make a video game however you well please. However, you can also add malicious code into this. What folks aren't realizing is there was a big uproar within the League of Legends community scene where they were now doing kernel level anti-cheats. This is a company who has over millions and millions and millions and millions of players getting a massive uproar for this kernel level anti-cheat. What could also be done from TurtleWoW is in fact doing the exact same thing while not addressing it whatsoever. They can go into your kernel, take control of your computer entirely, and you wouldn't be aware of it unless there was someone who was into cybersecurity, therefore checking it. Now, I'm sure that TurtleWoW and their group will very easily say, we would never do such a thing like that. That's absolutely not anything in our wheelhouse. That's just malicious. That's not game design. And I'm telling you that they can do that as the worst. However, do much more problematic things, such as take, for example, always sharing your screen while you're playing the game, taking a look at it, seeing if you're actually cheating by going in, such as how Easy Anti-Cheat can do that, or, for example, the Riot kernel. Taking a look, for example, at what you're running in the backend. Are you running a different private server? Should we slow down your machine because of it? What about, for example, you working on, say, passwords? They can put a keylogger into it. They can do anything and everything inside of this EXE, and you wouldn't be aware of it. Whereas with the standard WoW EXE, you at least know that was made by Blizzard, so therefore the standard Blizzard exploits, or the standard WoW exploits of, you know, how could they see my info and everything else, are in fact there, and you're already taking that Blizzard precaution. Unfortunately, having that new EXE completely removes that factor or that barrier of protection and just altogether eliminates the possibility of you being safe whatsoever, especially if there's malicious folks who eventually penetrate TurtleWoW, make modifications to the source code for whatever reason. They aren't aware, and then next thing you know, your computer is being hijacked or is turned into a zombie computer because you were just playing TurtleWoW the game and you got an update. However, I continue moving forward because this is the problematic issues with security. Because of this and everything else that's happened, the TurtleWoW video got shut down. TurtleWoW has been fighting against Blizzard in terms of creating new YouTube channels and such, and Blizzard keeps continuing to take them down. And, shut them down. This is primarily due to this issue on them saying, hey, we are at a TurtleWoW 2.0, and in reality, this is actually a client, but they're never admitting it's a client. Many folks believe that this is an entire remake inside of Unreal Engine. To do this is absolutely insane and not possible with their size of a team, but they don't seem to be correcting people or anything of that sort either. Instead, as I said before, it's a client remake disguised as a full remake. The patches and PQ files will now just be hidden within a .pak file, similar to that as an example of downloading a Unreal Engine mobile game, where you have a .pak file or say anything to do with it, but it's just pack, so Unreal can read it. Their music is getting taken down on YouTube because they're showing Warcraft 3 videos behind it, and it's like the equivalent of uploading a full movie but with anime women, you know, on top of it. Of course it's going to get taken down because of how trademarking works, which if you go to uspto.gov/trademarks, you can read all about it. However, this isn't out of just being humble or anything else from Torda and their team. You can clearly see, for example, their tweets that they're posting over on X, where TurtleWoW is saying, being scared of your own fans is something else. They don't look at you as fans, it seems, more like a rival, and TurtleWoW replies, well, we're clearly not that. And then further moving forward, you see even more posts that go into TurtleWoW, just constantly triggering WoW, more or less. Unfortunately, with a good comes a bad. After seeing explosive growth, blah blah blah, our trailer now gets a takedown. Then someone says, TurtleWoW server hosting isn't in the US though, right? So in terms of them issuing a takedown for the whole project, there isn't much they can do. Let them come. We have barbecue, water guns, and D&D. You can see here that they're doing meaningless jabs over at Warcraft. And finally, the last one, and then I'll get into the previous comment as well. We challenge, oh, I apologize there, it was a bit forward. Is there any realistic possibility of Blizzard shutting it down in the foreseeable future? We'll challenge them to Makara. Then the guy said, this is the way, because, you know, whatever. This is the scary side, because these questions are not being answered whatsoever. And that's okay, but not really. Because they can in fact be shut down by Blizzard. The process of shutting down a private server, and I'm sure there may be modders that may try to correct me, but it's okay because I've done research on this, is Blizzard usually sends them to the ISP of whoever is hosting their WoW server a letter. Say it's to Hazen or Contabo or DigitalOcean or pretty much anywhere, genuinely. They'll send a letter and they'll say, hey, this is against our guidelines, please take this down. And then willingly DigitalOcean, OVH will then take down the server and say that it's against their guidelines. This is where, for example, you'll see servers be like, hey guys, we're having server maintenance issues right now. We are gonna need approximately an hour to deal with our server provider. Or they'll try and mask it even, say, hey, we're upgrading our servers. They'll say anything to the public to try and mask the fact that they just got hit with this letter. Sometimes it is, of course, true, but most of the cases it is actually that reasoning. So they'll bunny hop between different providers. However, there are also providers who will not care about these letters. I believe OVH is, for example, one of them who actually just simply do not care. They treat it like toilet paper, as an example. That's why, for example, you have big servers such as Warmain never getting shut down. They just don't care. They've probably been provided many letters. They don't care because they're Russian based. So, I mean, what's an American company going to do to Russia? Come on. Now, however, with the case of TurtleWoW and them running their server and everything else, that's where things become more and more interesting. Because with TurtleWoW, it's believed that they are either NA or EU based. So that, for example, could be in France, that could be in the US. They do have a chance of being removed. So because they have a chance of being removed, they have to move their providers constantly unless they find a provider that will not care about the cease and desist letters. Now, let's say that the cease and desist letters just don't happen to the ISP. What then therefore happens is they then try to get it specifically to the company of that World of Warcraft project. So for example, Ascension has a company. There are all these different projects that have company names. And the reason for this is because if you get sued under a company, then you don't lose your personal assets. You only lose what's under the company assets. That's also to mention everything to do with taxes and so on and so forth. So it inevitably creates a kind of barrier for you to be protected. I'm not a legal expert. This is just what modders have told me. Take it with a grain of salt. If anyone wants to properly explain it in the comments, please do so. Anywho, so they create this company, and then the WoW group, like a Blizzard lawyer group that probably getting paid 50 grand an hour to do this sort of stuff, then therefore sends letters to the company's address. The company's address is typically either a PO box, a personal address, or worst case scenario, just somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Now, when this letter is therefore sent, it has to be acknowledged that it was therefore understood or read, whether it's by email or anything of that nature. So what you can do is you can try to run away from that. There's some private servers, who I won't call out their names, who have been rumored to do this and constantly running from these letters. Now, you can run from it as much as possible, which is why what ends up happening, which is a third one, is when you're handed it in person. It's a similar of, congratulations, you've been served. Except with a Blizzard lawyer saying, congratulations, here's your cease and desist because you keep running like a little bitch. Now, when you go over to the EU, for example, it becomes more problematic, which is why the majority of WoW servers are not hosted in the US. Which also means the majority of WoW server owners try to mask themselves and not living in the US. And in this particular case, Torta is believed to be somewhere overseas on a visa, and whether it's be in Europe or Australia, wherever it may be. So it's really shady. They can be in trouble, but then the question is, well, which country is it? Especially when they're masking all their information. The publicity, however, that was gained off of these videos and these tweets and everything else was 100% intended by the TurtleWoW team. This was all a grand scheme in order to not admit whatsoever that, hey, this is a client-side versus, server-side adjustment. They didn't want to publicly say that and go into detail, nowhere you can see the explanation. But instead, the idea is to be as vague as possible to kind of trick the community into believing in their own mind that it is in fact a 2.0 remake. This was a kind of dark psychology trick where it's like, oh wow, we're gonna be creating something magical, and then everyone goes and says, hey guys, they said something magical, that surely must mean Disney, and because they mean Disney, it must mean the Magic Castle and this and that. And then when it inevitably comes back to them, they say, we didn't mention Disney, we didn't mention the castle, we said something magical. This is exactly what's being done here to try and cover their tracks. Moving forward, however, in my final remarks on looking at this, I want to emphasize that having a client that does not have the 1x, for example vanilla, 2x TBC, or 3x limitations, aka Wrath of the Lich King, is absolutely game breaking in terms of the modding scene. However, it's been tried multiple times. There has been projects for Unity trying to recreate World of Warcraft. There's been projects in Unreal Engine trying to recreate World of Warcraft and trying to do this constantly. This is not something that's brand new, that's like, oh my god, look, it's completely brand new, no one's done this before. Many people have done it, and many people have quit. There's even a project to this day that's going on actively called Unity Craft that is currently trying to remake the entire World of Warcraft within Unity itself. So it gets really infuriating as both a Unreal Engine developer and also as a modder to read these sort of things. And this is just not even including the leaks right now that was revealed on all the insider work and things that have been going on. You have, for example, also TT. I fully expect it to be completely busted. Spell visuals and particles are probably going to be the worst to replicate. The first trailer video I immediately spotted was a different client because physics/collision was broken. Creatures weren't pathing smoothly on polygons. Look in the bird in the center back. And I'll see if I can find this original video so that way you can see. But you can see as well that even modders are extremely skeptical on just the client alone. There are issues here that are not being properly addressed and are just being heard. So you have all of this excitement and all this publicity, but in reality you don't have a backbone. You don't have any of the actual proper showcasing. Because what you're inevitably doing is you're having to rebuild everything from the ground up. How the creatures respond to the client, how the dungeons work, the new anti-cheat, and how it all functions. Are there replicating issues? What's the communication between this? Is it gonna have some sort of issues with peer-to-peer? Is it gonna be, specifically the client to the server once again like normal, which as it should be, and I shouldn't even have to mention peer-to-peer, but there might be some internals that are kind of iffy. You never know until you get this information, and TurtleWoW is kind of trying to hold it to themselves in terms of not discussing anything about it. Now, in terms of it actually becoming into existence, they believe, or they originally said, that we're going to get information within 2025. It's now, as currently September of 2024, and honestly, from a UE dev standpoint and from a modder standpoint, I do not see this being able to be released whatsoever. However, continuing forward, genuinely, because otherwise we'll be stuck on this topic over and over and you'll just hear me ramble, we need to get into the TurtleWoW leak itself. The leak that happened after all this drama all of the accusations to deal with Torta, all of the proof behind the botting and whatnot in terms of possibly just players botting, and in addition to that, all of the accusations that have been brought forward towards TurtleWoW that they've been trying to hide. The TurtleWoW leak was extremely huge. When this happened, the community was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. Which genuinely, it was everywhere. You had 4chan showing information, you had WoW modding servers all over just posting about it. Even inside the TurtleWoW Discord, it was going crazy. As I said before, even just high renowned modders were just getting removed. And the reason for this is because this entire dump here had so much information. And I guarantee you other private servers joined it almost instantly, because this leak had every person's email address, password, their pay information, literally even say obviously their usernames, but not only that, but their IP addresses. It had all the chat logs. It had literally everything that a private server owner could possibly dream of having. Because I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but take for example this. Back in the day, Ascension would send emails out. You never had played the server even, and they would send you an email saying, hey, come check us out. Season 1 is starting and doing this and that. Simply because there was a leak of a different server, and so now they have your email address, and now they're going to send you newsletters about who they are and whatnot, and try to get you interested. And this is why it's an absolute gold mine. Not to mention, you know, all the other malicious reasons behind it, but continuing, you know, forward. It was so problematic that when I changed my monitor, it was so problematic that they even explained to you how to brute force the passwords. It's literally right here. I'm not going to show it because I don't want people being like, oh my god, that's how you actually remove certain encryption. He literally provided a document in detail explaining how to break these things. Now, there are dumps of everything. We're talking login information, databases of China and the EU. You have extras that are going here in the email list, the PTR don't run files, the gamescon, the source codes, the documentations behind everything going on here and what they would have had. If you go into the development models, you have the information here, the 1.10 ported models. It's so crazy of how much was taken, genuinely. The development turtle logs that are in here. It's everywhere. It's everywhere, man. Absolutely everywhere. But the most critical and damning evidence is a screenshot folder. There is over 97 different screenshots in here and different videos all across that go into detail about everything that they were doing. For example, Torta possibly being Shinna, which it was proof about on her being a female. There's evidence in here showcasing, look, there's fingers, oh my god, the hands, the alien hands, the parents, Tamagotchi, alien hands with all the Ryzen cores over there in the background. And more questionable things. So then you have other stuff going on here, like Ariana's gotta go. We'll start from top down and work our way down, in essence, and that way you guys can see everything, and I'll just go through it. That way you don't even have to worry about clicking on something malicious, and I'm doing it for you. So you can see right here, for example, 1 strike left. Indeed, the video has been taken down. We have 2 more strikes to go before our channel gets deleted. We do have the video published on our website, I think. It needs links in the description for YouTube version. Officially, I propose to answer that, yeah, we love WoW, but the love isn't mutual, nothing new. Life continues. Watch the trailer on our website there. So you can see here that this is a strike. This isn't a full removal yet. Unfortunately, with the good comes bad. After seeing the explosion and whatnot, we have uploaded the upload the video over here. Love Azeroth and will continue to mod and everything else. You like, I like it. Here is a video showcase of it being inside Unreal Engine itself on the camera cuts moving forward. You can see that there's lighting and such at the very end here. I'll try to jump back over to it for like a second, but you can definitely see the light barriers and whatnot above it. Activate what bots? If Epoch launches with no donor rewards, Epoch is a different private server as an example here, they will get fucked. I don't see any info about any right now, and then they'll say, basically, never mind, there's no way of smarting them up. TLDR, no, we're not going to do pay to win for additional bags. And then, good for us, of course, yep, subscription only world chat, oh man, imagine, activate Turtle DDoS bots. You see that? Are you serious? So now you're admitting to being able, this is the TurtleWoW staff team, by the way. Now you're admitting to DDoSing private servers? You think this is okay? ADHD. No, but we want clicks and attention as written above. The least thing is a pretty background which reveals something is entirely new. I do social media since 10 years and work now with the biggest social media companies in Western Europe. So now we know he works for Western Europe. Doing extended training next month. I go on our Facebook with videos, easily 200, 300k clicks with a small budget, reaching 99% of WoW players only. And as explained in another chat you aren't part of, what was the key to our success? The lack of an intro and interesting content in the first second. There you go. Now you have the admitting of how they got your attention, like I was mentioning before. Looks like we got his attention from Alice Sensual to WoW 1. No. Then there goes the hands I showed you. Ariana's got to go. I've shown you this briefly. This is not fit for a WoW general. When it's a classic troll bait original message, I don't know what to say. I know she's not malicious in the normal sense of the word. It wouldn't say easy, just a ban. She's obviously completely clueless. Solution seems simple, don't rent, buy a home. And then they start talking about like wacky ass shit to deal with the housing and whatnot, inflation. Bashing, sorry, I find bashing too much fun. Don't be an average private server player. Better to fake population. Crazy how we were talking about the botting earlier. If merged into one server using instance technology, can we instance 2,000 players? Here's, the general questioning. Better to fake players, honestly. We don't even have instancing technology because everyone agrees it's not good for vanilla. I'll leave it up for them, but I feel it would be the same. Can't say the players have our trust if they fuss and quit over the smallest thing. Blizzard can't leave us alone. Still, tons of reaction videos, fans re-uploading trailer. We got the message out. I'll call it success. Yeah, a bit wary of Blizzard now. Brr. How are you wary of Blizzard when you were just attacking them? Blizzard is what? Blizzards are blank and we're blank. Okay. Bolty is all secure. Quick updates for my hacking incident, aka their issue. All finances are secured. Passkey, play with you all if you find yourself with too many bears and the system screw up. One of the elaborate phishing attempts. I'm having security, everything else. We're just skimming through this. You can pause throughout the video just to read it if you like, but these are my own thoughts going through this. 15k views for 4 hours. The ads must have kicked in too. CrewX is boosting the video. So now we see here that it wasn't just more like, oh, it really blew up. It's that the fact is that they were advertising their video to try and make it blow up as well. China ain't loyal. To be fair, China isn't loyal and quitting en masse. I don't know what we can do. We're deadlocking to waiting for a patch to be done. This goes into really big detail that the TurtleWoW community and even Ascension are now trying or have been trying to get into the China WoW scene. This is because World of Warcraft was blocked by the Chinese government because of a bunch of issues. I'm not a political kind of guy, but it was blocked in essence, and so WoW was shut down in China for quite a while. However, what also ended up happening is because of this, the modding scene started taking up a storm, and now it costs a lot of money. We're talking thousands to have a server running over there. However, it gives you a lot of income because everyone knows that the Chinese, no racism involved here, spend a lot of money because that is the way that they play games. You have, for example, BDO, that's huge over there. That's just like absolute cash cow of a game. You have many other situations over there, but I digress. You can see here, not sure if they believe us. We'll try. Problem is China isn't donating anymore and shrinking a lot. They required tons of money running last month to cover up their expenses. China doesn't like the new client. For example, the whole 2.0 went over their heads. China problem? Yes. China needs helping. Good morning. We lost nearly 50% of our Chinese-speaking population due to the release of the national servers. This is when World of Warcraft went live again, when they decide, hey, we can now be back and playing WoW. I don't have to state the obvious, but this is bad because China is our main source of income, while Europe is just enough to pay our GMs. China has 88 team members, and the monthly server cost in Hong Kong exceeds $15,000. Everyone needs to be focused on the Chinese community from now on. So just screw EU, right? No one cares about them anymore. You can see basically as it continues going on and whatnot on the information. Cough it up, EU. China donations are low since Blizzard is black. EU didn't charge much, low as before. Daddy Blizzard likes. So it's simply unreasonable for a AAA company to use third-party engine. I'd still avoid saying it. Might look like we're not capable to what we promise. We're very grateful for all the positive feedback. You can see that they're trying to now craft an elaborate response. Perfect, posted and pinned, perfect. We're such ass lickers. It's funny to be once fitting Blizz, but kissing last to stay safe is a deal I'll take. So now you can see that now they're trying to shape it in essence on making things a little bit less problematic. Then you have the lawyers on the mounts, stop bashing Blizz. This poor underpaid team already works, and the constant fear of being fired in the next wave of layoffs. Devs are nice, lawyers are the ones who potentially bullied Tiny Turtle. You see. Damn it, Bullock. Bullock is a clown. Can we please find a reason to ban him? Don't get sued. And this goes on and on and on. I got a kick out of this shit. So it's one thing that I had to look in for myself that made me laugh was one of the old TurtleWoW exposed Elysium posts. This particular part. Elysium is a keyword implies that the web server is affiliated with Elysium. Why not post? In this situation, Alice is much more famous bear keyword which would bring more clicks. And they're not wrong. But you can see here his response to this. That's a really great response, right? Epoch angry, some other news. We can't give a time frame. Everlooking Turtle, report made a few days ago about server optimization lag. Looking at it a second time and feedback, SEA GMs, they can't be ignored. That can be ignored. This is just a very vocal minority that insists since Everlook can be played without a accelerator, that means TurtleWoW should be able to do as well. The common consensus among most Chinese players is that using accelerator to play these private servers is a norm to be accepted by all though. So I don't think this is really a big deal in hindsight. So now they're going to require that. Keep in mind, by the way, this is a communication between Everlook and TurtleWoW. Everlooking the UE client exclusively. He just doesn't want to be responsible for China to make a fork that lets them fully automate bots and cheats, and then it becomes Everlook and TurtleWoW's problem to deal with. Crazy. Everlook joining vacation. Excuse me, you're not my mom. It'd be wasted the whole time. Netto is my spirit animal. Hell yeah. Then we have finally what I like to call the cherry on top. This is Dave, designer Dave, who's an ex-Blizzard employee working with TurtleWoW. If we go, for example, to, let me bring this over here, because I was trying to find the original leak and see if there was any information, because there used to be a, there used to be a kind of the GitHub that had all the screenshots, but I had to pull it back. This is the same guy, designer Dave, who in fact had issues with Asmongold. The very same guy. And you can see over here where he's talking about WoW Quest design. He used to have a lot of TurtleWoW videos. Nevertheless, he's been apparently working with them. And this is the exact same guy who was having issues with Asmongold before. Blizzard is dead and he just was being an absolute ass over to Asmongold. However, that being said, he's working with them. And you can see furthermore inside this screenshot, my suggestion is we start building the MMORPG world, and we could start with a single player experience that leads into an MMORPG world and the same IP. Well, guess what, guys? Within the Discord of TurtleWoW, you'll see within the announcements, oh, someone just is creating a brand new game, and it just so happens to be a kind of single player game. It's one of, you know, our ex-employees or something of the sort. So go take a look. why would TurtleWoW announce something like that? Specifically because of what Dave is saying here. And it becomes even further problematic because there are other screenshots that involve him inside this. I'm just going to go bit by bit by bit. Oh, here's a fun one. But also, kind of fuck you at the moment. You have no chill. Just, you know, as memes and everything else. But we're just going to go through this entire catastrophe together, more or less. Here you see the image of the rendering previews and trying to create the original image like you saw before. You can see that there were certain pieces that were unloaded over here in the background. You can see that this is in fact called Calendar for the level. You can see, for example, the pipeline producing frames. You can see the cut name, Ashenvale. You can further go into the details on movie pipeline, Azeroth here, right here. You can see the Russian looking kind of telegram, the Russian looking kind of downloads folder. You can see a lot of different information that's being presented over here. There's so much. I mean, you can even go into the memory and everything else, but there's a lot inside these kind of screenshots that you have to look at. And you can see how Innocent Turtle platform exists until they decide to copyright strike us. Even if we post entirely our own content, they can and will. It's simply a matter of what we're gonna do soon. Leave Shinna alone. I'm serious now. You can see that they actually see these messages. I have to change my face every now and then so creeps from WoW servers won't stalk me. It's just a troll. Wow, all Shinna hairs make sense now. You got plastic surgery, whatever. Leave Shinna alone. And keep going through this. Keep going through this. This is just everywhere. It feels like it almost never ends. Modified download. This was proof that the hacker actually did in fact modify the URL involved with the downloads for a very long time. So you're downloading the wrong one for quite a while. Just to show proof of it. New MMO, any ideas? TurtleWoW chat. Beginning of talk. Chat for some very distant plans, but the talk could continue. Yes, no, whatever goal we decide to pursue, we begin with a few writers and possibly concept hours to have some form of visualization. So now we have a new MMO. Possibly, which is weird. Nixum on staff Pog. So apparently Nixum is part of the staff, which is really weird, but okay. No leak, or Nixium, sorry. Hi, hello, new guys. No leaking, or I'll throw coconuts at you. No, don't admit this part. Well, it's not legal here, as well as we are just persistent. A few years ago, our YouTube was deleted, so we created a new one. Oh my god, you admitted it. Off his meds. Warcraft gets a playground. Official Blizzard contributor. Let's see here. Yeah, just standard stuff. Okay, boomer. Okay, maybe these ads aren't the best idea. The new dungeon campaign, you can see here, the 2.0 trailer is being advertised via YouTube Plus partners. That's a click ratio 1 to to 10,000. It's not bad, right? That's awful. Panic. Quick, do an exit scam. Okay, just one question. If our server's dying, why we can't let this pay to win thing? Just sell XP pods, racial swap. We have to survive, and when we all be good financially, we just remove that without announcing it. I know that's not our philosophy, but I'm sure we could sell some pay to win elements. Our player base will grow and our income as well. Or make some bundles for 450 TurtleWoW coins to get race change, a 200 worth mount, something like that. If we spend more than 700 Turtle coins to get free skin. You see what I mean here? It's so bad, and you can tell I'm getting tired by just going over all of this, but it's needed. The root accounts literally just posting it. Like, are you serious? Scared of cease and desist letter, so you can see they're actually afraid of it. 2.0 could do anything from an accusation to get 15 different C&D letters. It was obvious, but it felt good to get confirmation. Yeah, lol, and before Blizzard leaves us alone, but Nintendo sues for Nintendo Switch port, whatever. Unfortunately for me, I won't be in uni at that point, so my main doxing point will be gone. So now we know Akilix is in university. It's like, what the hell, man? Poor boy. Nice, like I said, in the case of full name, address, and blank was shown. I got cease and desist from multiple projects. In the end, nothing happened. Okay. The main point of docs for me is if you search the right sites, you can find my name. Poor guy. Shinna, a gold seller, is paying us money to get banned after free money back. Really? Blizzard literally does this. Yeah, very good take. They let them stay 6 months, milk the money, then ban, and I can't blame them. Sharon, are you paying your taxes? Any advice for receiving and withdrawing crypto onto a bank account in Sweden? So now we know Shina is located in Sweden, aka the EU. At least that's it. Shina sold gold. We did play WoW on other private servers, is that correct? Years ago, I played Elysium. Yikes, well, I remember you guys taking gold. Wait, what? It's ancient lore, not my time then. Very distant past. So the accusations of Shina selling gold is now confirmed by Shina herself, aka Torta. Like, oh my god. It's just frustrating. Then here we go. You have Dave. Making an MMO off the rip is ill-advised. It's one of the most difficult games to create. I prefer using a background to make something that could potentially lead to one. If we're making a game just leading up to MMO, why do people already have experience with what they know how to make very well? Also, ill-advised by whom? And do they know the current workings of the team that would be making this game? Everyone wants to make an MMORPG, but very few game students have actual experience making them. The TurtleWoW team is 100% experienced towards making an MMORPG. Are you stupid? They are not. They do not understand anything to deal with a proper backend core. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm sorry that you're going to be pissed as hell at me, considering you're an ex-Blizzard employee, but you cannot say this when they are just modders. Come on, dude. The only area of weakness is the starting point. That's literally the majority of creating it. You have to create the foundation in order to therefore build on top of it. You have to make sure you have the strong foundation, which means you have to have experience with MMORPGs. Afterwards, it's simple. Just create the data, have the databases and insert the data, but literally the foundations is what takes forever. But then again, last I checked, you didn't do any of that in the past, right? So you wouldn't want to know. Which is a weakness no matter what you're making, so the familiarity of the MMORPG genre makes the most sense. If we want to be really pedantic, we could do an RTS in this universe first. But bear in mind, I don't think any easier, and it's likely much harder based on the team's background. Again, you have Dave here actively contributing to the issues that are being involved with TurtleWoW. I feel giddy thinking about being completely free with our branding and promotion, not having to dance around others' entities. Snitches get stitches. Here we go. Just more talk. Streamers get rewarded. That's a good boy. I'm concerned with the wave of hate Blizzard's getting because of us. Not good for us. Want to write comment on the video and pin it, take a more neutral stance, something like that, but maybe we could do it later. And this is exactly what I mentioned before in reference to them getting the issues. When I said that this 2.0 mentioning I'm blowing up was problematic. That's why. That's a lot of dough. We can be transparent in other ways. Just let people know what the costs are. The costs are 5-6 digits monthly. We can't publish those numbers. The gold badge, the golden badge. Torta finally paid $1,500 USD per month for the yellow badge. Hold up, 1.5 a month for this little badge? Yes. No. 200 a month. Eero, quit making shit up. Then you have the square. Tickets open forever. Should we have some GMs be translating and seeing what they can do? Imperfect, but at least it alleviates the issue. Vanth is trying, but they use really strange dialect, so you get text like, my moat is stuck in the desert. Please send the cheese. And a lot of abuse reports, which are tricky to verify. Troy going to prison for life, huh? Or there is a cybercrime thing. They hired an outside company then. Who knew abandonware was a criminal offense? TurtleWoW monthly sub. Why not just tell people the situation that server isn't going to do so hot because China is flaking and then ask people a monthly sub for benefits in games like tokens? Oh my god. I'm not seeing your Tamagotchi unless it's hot. Also seeing people's shirt sizes make me feel better about being fast. This was shown at the BlizzCon file in the PDF that I showed you before. TurtleWoW killed Asmongold's stream. Asmon quit streaming WoW after his reaction to you get striked. What coincidence. Then he showed. Crazy, right? TurtleWoW devs. Here you have the Elysium cash shop for, I'm sorry, not the Elysium, the Everlook cash shop right here. Made by TurtleWoW devs. Crazy, right? Absolutely crazy. How is this in fact possible at this point? But yet, you know, they're not part of it or anything like that. Crazy. Uh-oh, money issues. Unhackable. My confidence in my security is strong after 70 hours of working and switching on my hardware. This is a discount name. Feel free to add, friend me, and I'll invite. Upvote, please. Please ensure that you have an active Reddit account. We often face downvotes for random trolls or competitors. A single click on support project while a comment can enhance our CEO value and potentially change someone's mind. Important subreddits. Moderator permission for support staff. WoW servers, classic WoW. Crazy how they're posting in classic WoW. Vanilla bad. Wasn't ever supposed to be the most vanilla that ever existed? No, it was smart enough to not follow this BS idea. So you can see vanilla bad. Warcraft news. We need to crush Epoch. Project Epoch. Crazy. Well paid devs, very cool. Our web devs are very well paid, and it's only fair that they do all those things themselves. Feel free to push some long-standing issues. We're going to save some money. This is a really detailed document. I suggest you read this part. It's kind of crazy. What show count for 500? Why didn't you listen? Asset copyright. What the hell is this? You can see how it's kind of basically in Russian. Ah, fuck. Funny considering that it's our client, which is legally unknown territory. It would be shame if someone leaks blah blah at blizzard.com. LinkedIn. Be careful if you're logged into LinkedIn, but her Asian. It's not a third-party company this time. Then you keep going. And it's crazy that you can also see the email right here as well by Alexen. Damn. Yay, Epoch sucks. Bowser, there's such a reason people avoid Ascension, but if you want classless, they are the only place. We don't have such a luxury. TurtleWoW will jump ship to Epoch. Epoch won't be a big problem. Don't worry. What does that mean? Yeah, F Blizzard. Leave alone the multi-millionaire company. Some people. You're welcome. Leak equal free advertisement. Leak equal hype. So it's at the point now where you're like, what the hell? This is all the information that's provided for the TurtleWoW leak. That's inside the screenshots. I mean, I can show you guys. There's so much to do with this leak. It's just absolutely ridiculous. The databases on the Chinese side are fairly small, but if you go to the EU side, we're talking gigs and gigs of data. That includes all login information, the extras that I showed you previously before, the source codes, where quite literally the entire site design and everything is here. It's extremely shocking. It's extremely infuriating. But at the end of the day, this is more or less what happens constantly, unfortunately, within the emulation scene, is eventually a source code does get leaked. Eventually we find out the truth. But it's not every day that cover-up happens so much as this. Your information has already been taken. Your passwords has already been seen by many different people. Your emails have already been added to the list. And now is the time for you to truly just change your information as fast as you can if you didn't use a burner account or anything of the likes. Personally, I would stay away from TurtleWoW. The reason being, it's very obvious they're not caring about your security or anything of the likes. I mean, you can see here in the original README document file, they said at the very beginning, I believe I even addressed it before, don't forget that security is part of development. As a consumer, you don't care what their source code looks like until it matters. Why do billion-dollar companies take years to redevelop an existing product such as Classic WoW? For reasons like this. They're liable for your security. Currently, right now, there is nothing being said in response to TurtleWoW. They're not going on and explaining how everything was truly leaked and everything else because they can be held responsible for it. Shinna, aka Torta, can get in trouble for losing all that account information, all of your payment information. But none of it is properly being showcased, and that's the problem that us as modders have within the community. No one's concerns are being heard here, and instead it's just going to be cover up. This video itself is going to probably get downvoted into hell. Torta may respond very well inside the comment section. There may be issues on the threads. There may be bots. It's very possible, but no matter what happens, this video will stay online in one way or another and be posted over and over if that's what needs to happen, simply for people to understand the information that has been dumped. My name is Matthew Napier. You can catch me on twitch.tv/Matthew_Napier at any time. If you enjoy this type of video, if you thought that it was interesting or anything of the sorts, leave a like, leave a comment, share it to your buddies, show them what's going on over here in the WoW emulation scene, because it really helps out. And I guess I'll see you guys in regards to actual development. And the final bit of information to designer Dave, I hope that you actually indeed do pull away from the modding scene in terms of dealing with folks. At the very least, don't get involved. I don't know what specifically you shared with them in terms of the inside development to deal with Blizzard, but I highly suggest that whatever you did say, you start redacting almost immediately, because it's very clear that you're going to get into some very hot water if this actually does manage to blow up, to have a ex-Blizzard employee trying to help TurtleWoW and scamming more or less their entire player base in essence. And while, you know, you were talking about the community and such, it's very clear that you were also involved to some degrees in different ways, especially with this leak on telling them how to deal with it. So, see you guys. Have a good one. Till next time.